To better understand the United States Navy's involvement in the War of the Pacific, we traveled to the home of Commander William Ambrosio, a retired United States naval aviator who experienced combat against the Japanese Empire firsthand.
Do I get paid by the hour?
Ambrosio, a lighthearted and sarcastic man, was involved in over 160 successful missions taking place in the Guadalcanal, Marshall Islands, and the Palo Island campaigns.
When I came back and I was a hero. You don't believe me, you just ask my mother.
But don't let his nonchalant and modest attitude fool you. His heroism and sacrifice does truly set him apart from the rest as a hero of World War II.
I didn't do anything special in particular. I just did what you had to do. Tell me, point me, and then I'd go out and do what I had to do.
World War II. The global war lasting from 1939 to 1945 involved all the great powers and their entire economic, industrial, and scientific capabilities, resulting in the deadliest conflict in human history. In 1937, the Empire of Japan was already at war with China at the beginning of World War II and was aiming to dominate Asia and the Pacific. In their process to expand their empire, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor December 7, 1941, as an attempt to prevent the United States Pacific Fleet from interfering with military actions they were planning in Southeast Asia. This plan, as we know, ultimately brought the United States into World War II when the United States declared war on the Empire of Japan the very next day.
Very certain that this form of treachery shall never again endanger us.
Williams' flying career began when at 19 he signed up for the flying program at Long Beach Municipal Airport. He wanted to be a naval aviator, and with the war in Europe underway, he knew it was only a matter of time before America was drawn into the conflict.
Well, I could see the war coming, so I wanted to get in there and get a good start, you know, because of the other war, the war came and everybody just went in, and I wanted to be trained a little bit. They landed at an airport, kind of a lonely place, I don't remember where, and they have a signal office there, and you learn how to do it, all the signals. Give it a cut, and you land on the runway. Just pulled a little lever and the gear came up, nothing. If it was very fancy, I couldn't do it.
Following the Pearl Harbor attack, Bill, now a commissioned officer and naval aviator, was among the first to be assigned to newly formed fighting squadrons after the attack.
So you're excited to be part of a squadron?
Yes, I was the main part.
His squadron was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, where they trained as they waited for the escort carrier, the USS Suwannee, that would be taking them into the North African campaign. The invasion of North Africa, codenamed Operation Torch, proposed to improve the naval control of the Mediterranean Sea by attacking and clearing the Axis powers, specifically at Casablanca.
I was just doing the patrolling, make sure nobody come in and attacked our landing forces and stuff. So I was flying over that and make sure no bad guys came in.
Was there much opposition in terms of enemies?
As I remember, no, they had the VC French. They were on kind of like on the German side, but they were no opposition as far as we were concerned because we had better equipment.
We asked about the mix of emotions that anyone would feel when going into a situation like this as a first-timer to fighting opposition.
I just figured I have to do something, you may as well go do it. It's kind of pretty good attitude, I think. No, I was never really scared, I don't think.
With the excitement over and the successful completion of the North African campaign, Ambrosio was sent back on a long boat ride home to the States to await his next orders.
When we weren't flying or we weren't in the combat zone, just flying around, I'd go down to the metalsmith shops and watch what they were making. Go down to the galley and steal some food.
After a short stint back on home soil, relaxing time was over and preparations began for the first major offensive against the Empire of Japan by the Allied forces. The Battle of Guadalcanal, codenamed Operation Watchtower, had the objective of denying the Japanese their communication routes and establishing Allied airfield controls for the eventual support of predicted campaigns.
Yeah, we were land-based there. They put the whole squadron ashore, and then we did raids up the channel, up to Munda and all the little islands, and so we'd go raid them. Or we'd escort the bombers up there, and they'd drop bombs on the bad guys. If the bad guys came up, we'd have to shoot them down, that's all.
Stationed now on the freshly acquired airstrip, the Japanese would sail down at night and shell Ambrosio and the troops from their ships and bomb from air in different areas.
We weren't much good at night. Well, because you can't shoot something down you can't see.
During the day, however, when the squadrons were sent up, it was not unusual for the pilots to be outnumbered by the enemy 3 or 4 to 1. We asked if he could remember any of his wingmen being shot down in front of him.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. They go down. Not many. We did a pretty good job protecting the bombers and everything. Because when the Japs were up here, we see one coming, we just go like this and head at him, and they didn't like that, they'd pull away. They didn't want to get shot down. Well, we always did this weaving, so if the guy was over here and I was here, I'd go over there and this guy'd come like this as we were patrolling with the bombers below, keep them off.
After the completion of the Guadalcanal campaign by the Allied forces, the Japanese had reached their limit of their conquest in the Pacific, thereby marking the transition of the Allied defense operations to strategic offensive operations. Ambrosio's tour was not complete, however. After Guadalcanal, the Allied forces turned their attention onto New Guinea for what was to become the Rabaul raids.
The enemy had Rabaul at that time, and we flew over there and shoot down whatever we caught them on the runways, strafed the runways, strafed the buildings.
Rabaul was the main Japanese naval base during the New Guinea campaign, and the main inlet Simpsons Harbor was known as the Pearl Harbor of the South Pacific. This raid was not going to be easy because the Japanese cruiser force was stationed there in the harbor. Not to mention 367 anti-aircraft guns, and the 5 surrounding enemy airfields also defended the harbor itself. Ambrosio in preparation was upgraded from the F-4F plane to the F-6F, a faster and more powerful fighter.
The first airplane was the F-4F. It was a lot smaller. And then they came out with the F-6F, which was faster and bigger, carried three machine guns on both wings. You fired them all at once and you could feel it because there was so much negative. Push it back, yeah.
That's all. So how are the Zeros compared to your planes?
Well, they were just more maneuverable. You hit them and they were through, but our planes you could hit them and they had self-sealing tanks and stuff, so we were better protected overall. They were more maneuverable and stuff, but we'd get them. Can't let the bad guys go away.
Despite the Japanese early warning system, Bill was in the first wave of attackers on the harbor and took off from the USS Bunker Hill, where to much surprise, he met little resistance. As the squadron gained altitude and reformed after the smoke had cleared, he said, It was like they had kicked a hornet's nest, as the Japanese fighters came up in thick swarms. Ambrosio's squadron protected the bombers on either side as they returned to the carriers. They in total shot down 5 enemy planes, 2 of which were by Ambrosio himself, with another unconfirmed. In the aftermath of the Rabaul raid, Ambrosio found success in the Marshall Island campaigns as well as in the Philippines during the Palau Island campaign. At Kwajalein during a flight where he was strafing island defenses, he destroyed 1 enemy plane using dogfighting maneuvers. At Saipan, Ambrosio leads a rendezvous flight and is credited with sinking a small Japanese escort destroyer. He told us, "One minute it was there, and the next it was 2 halves sinking into the ocean."
You know, with 50 calibers, you really can't shoot anything up too much. So I either, hit the gas tanks or something, and it blew up.
Are you excited? They give you a medal?
They give you 1 attaboy. No, that was your job, so that's what you did.
After an extensive series of campaigns and battles all across the Pacific, both atomic bombs being dropped and Russia declaring war on the Empire of Japan, they surrendered at noon on August 15th. With the war over, Ambrosio continued to fly with the Navy for a total of 27 years before he hung up his gold wings in 1967. We asked him why he didn't pursue aviation afterwards as a career.
You mean like go to the airlines and stuff like that? A lot of the guys did that. I figured I'd had enough or something. I don't remember.
For Ambrosio, some sources have him with up to 8 kills, but the official naval records only give him credit with 3.5. So technically, by their standards, he is not an ace. However, with the bragging rights of destroying a ship and the commander title, the ones that know him and the ones that flew with him will tell you otherwise.